You don't have to do anything for things to fall apart. You have to put in energy, a lot of energy, to make things get better. Or to even keep things at the same level, you have to actually put in more work. The law of entropy states that things left to their devices tend to erode into disorder and decay. You can clean your room and literally go to Spain, go on vacation, don't even use the room, have no guest over, nothing. What's gonna happen? You come back, it may not be junky, but your room will not be as clean as it was when you left it. Why? There's dust now on the table, there's dust on the counter. What else happens? Spiders see that nobody's home, so they build webs all over the fucking place. What else happens? You left some food in the fridge for a month, the food spoiled, now the house stinks. Things just fall into disorder automatically. People think that, oh, to keep things where they're at, I just gotta keep doing what I've always done. That's false. To keep doing what you've always done, not only will you get the same results, you'll actually get worse results because of entropy. The cards are actually stacked against you.
Eating to live, yeah, I'm living to eat. Catch me enjoying vegan recipes. Fame for chlorophyll.
Greetings, it's your boy Gartatia. Today I have some geeky, Bill Nye the Science Guy type solutions for my entrepreneurs, for my people on self-improvement, for my people dedicated and ambitious and they see the lemons of life and they're trying to squeeze everything they can get out of it and become their best versions. I am using the laws of nature, specifically the laws of energy and the laws of entropy and the concept of pressure to describe how we can capitalize and use these tools to our arsenal of, say we've been hustling on our business for months, for years, and we're not seeing results, how we can gain some insight and gain some leverage to take our business, take our hustle to the next level. Say we're just interested. We see our cousins breaking out, making millions of dollars. We see our friends in Dubai, having these huge webinars, making thousands of dollars, selling thousands of dollar tickets and traveling the world. We see these digital nomads in Taiwan controlling, a multi-level marketing business overseas, only working 4 hours a week. We see these things happen. A lot of times we get overwhelmed and think, oh, that can never be me. A lot of times these people have an understanding of the laws of nature, and instead of fighting it, they just let these principles fall into their lap so they can take their businesses to the next level. Today, I want to start with just how I came to the epiphany. I am meditating at my special spot, undisclosed location, and I'm thinking about the Big Bang Theory, the whole universe is in a hot big, whatever, I forgot the lyrics. But I'm thinking about the Big Bang Theory and how energy was all in just one dense ball of high energy state, and then boom, explodes, releases all this energy, creates the planets, creates the solar system, creates the planet Earth. And then I start thinking about our solar system, the 9 planets, well, rest in peace Pluto, but Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. Think about all of these, and I'm thinking about Jupiter, I really had a bone to pick with Jupiter, because I'm Jupiter's not even solid, it's not even tangible, I can't even touch it, but it's the biggest planet, and it has Europa and these moons and stuff. And I'm just wow, why is Jupiter so cool? And I'm wow, gases, maybe I should give gases their props. So I'm thinking about the different states of matter, and I'm thinking about how matter can exist in physical form, I guess all physical, but solid form. It can exist in liquid form, it can exist in gas form. So I get to thinking about, wait, it's the same material. There's oxygen, there's water, there's sulfur, there's phosphorus, tin, iron, actinium, all these different chemical elements, and they can exist in these 3 different states of matter. That just blew my mind. And I got to thinking, wait, how do they get to these different states of matter? And there's these things called transformation points. These points where they have a more scientific name, but we're gonna call them transformation points. It's these points where you apply a certain amount of energy, quote unquote heat in this instance, and up until that substance reaches that energy level or temperature, will the transformation occur. So you can be applying the energy source, you could be applying the heat, but until it reaches that temperature for that compound, and every compound has a different temperature. Iron will have a different melting point than water. H2O will have a different melting point than aluminum. And what's beautiful about it all is once you understand the melting point or the boiling point that you need to apply to that temperature, to that endeavor you're doing, to that idea you have, to take it to the next level, that gives you the patience and the grit to persevere through the challenges of constantly applying that heat. Before we dive into like the analogy, right? It's all gonna make sense. I do want to explain the first law of thermodynamics because this is important here. And that's the law of energy, and we all know it, we've all heard of it. It is energy is never created nor destroyed, it is just transferred from one source to another, right? What's a great example of this? We've all seen trees before. Deforestation is real, but trees are still around. We all know they start off as a seed, and then they have this phase of just being underground and just being buried, and they have these little feelers and they're just reaching out, just having this fun roller coaster network of grabbing nutrients through osmosis and just slowly building up the strength and the nutriments to get to the point where they sprout out of the ground into a little plant and then they become a tree. So all that energy they have, they're just this power source of glowing energy. And we cut them down, unfortunately, and then what do they do with this wood? They cut this wood down, say they use this wood to make a fire, and say that piece of wood, let's say the piece of wood weighed 20 pounds. So the way of law of conservation of energy works is you burn that piece of wood to make heat, which is a form of energy, and part of the residue, two residues come out. A smoke is created from the chemical reaction, right? That's the smoke you see when you burn wood. And then carbon in the form of ash is released. So 20 pounds was the piece of wood you put in the fire. About 10 pounds, don't come at me for the numbers, you science nerds, but about 10 pounds, let's say, will go into the smoke creation from that process. And then the other 10 pounds is in the form of ash. And what does the form of ash do? The form of ash, that is just dead organic matter. That is dead carbon. What do we use ash for? You can turn it into charcoal, burn some more wood, or you can use it as fertilizer, grow another tree. So you see how that unfortunate 20-pound piece of wood completed its life cycle. No energy was wasted. All the energy was sent somewhere. Either it became ash, fertilizer, still energy, or it was used to create heat, to keep you warm. So that is an example of a law of conservation of energy. So I mentioned that because when applying energy to, let's say, water, you have this huge Titanic ass iceberg. Let's say that iceberg is about big enough to put in an oven. Let's say you put it in a huge industrial oven, and that oven could be at 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. But if you put that iceberg, say that iceberg is from Antarctica, so it's like -10 degrees Fahrenheit, we know water doesn't melt, or ice doesn't melt until it hits 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So even though you put that huge iceberg in the 1,000-degree gigantic oven, which doesn't exist, right? That oven is 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Most people think, oh, it's gonna destroy that iceberg, but no. That iceberg, the temperature is slowly, that heat is applying heat to the iceberg. That temperature is going down. It might go to -9, it might go to -8, slowly and slowly. -3, -2. Then it's 10 degrees Fahrenheit, 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Whole time, that oven's still working. That oven never stopped applying it is applying the same amount of heat. It is applying the 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. But that iceberg, this whole time, this could be 10 minutes, this could be 10 hours. This whole time, literally that iceberg, not a piece of it has melted. It's literally chilling in the hot oven, not melting yet. Because the mass, the compound together has not reached the melting point. So it could be 31.999 degrees Fahrenheit, and literally it'll look the same. But guess what happens? Right when it reaches 32 degrees Fahrenheit, boom, it starts melting. And then it starts melting more and more as more of the iceberg gets warmer, goes to 30 degrees, 34, 35, 36, 37, 40s. And then at that point, it's already turning into a different state. It is ascended to the higher level, right? A lot of people say they're now they're at the higher level. Now they're a liquid stage, right? They put in the work. Now they see, okay, I've overcome one hurdle. And we see this a lot. We'll call it newbie gains. So everybody who's been to the gym, they've heard of newbie gains. Newbie gains is you're a freshman in college, you come in, you've been skinny all your life, your parents give you this budget, you have unlimited food at the cafeteria, you're spending the extra allowance they give you on like muscle milk protein, you're eating like a warthog, you're watching all these Fresh and Fit and Athlean X and all these, muscle YouTubers, Bradley Martin, and then you're like, I'm going to get fucking jacked and get a six pack, whatever, right? And you actually commit yourself. A lot of people, I will give anyone who gets newbie gains props, because it's not easy. You do have to have an unusual level of commitment to even get newbie gains. So props off. So that's why I say newbie gains people, these are the people who they started off as ice and they actually went to the next level. Now they're liquid. They applied the energy. But what happens? What happens after the water melts? To get to the next state, which is gas, you gotta boil first. So what happens is the water melted, right? They put in the newbie gains and they say they've been working out for a year and a half, 2 years. They reached about 60% of their genetic capacity. Your genetic capacity is like the maximum, the most you can get big naturally. So newbie gains will make you about 60% of like the biggest you'll ever be. But there's still 40% that you can still tap in. But what happens is people try to put the same amount of energy that they use to get the newbie gains, thinking that it's gonna take them to the next level, thinking that it's gonna make them boil and turn into gas, a higher state. What they don't know is that to get to the higher state, you not only have to maintain the same amount of energy, you have to double, sometimes triple the amount of same energy, and sometimes you don't even get that in the proportional increment of results. See, it's easy. It's easy to up the heat when you know that you're gonna get up the results, but it doesn't work that way. Sometimes you can up the heat. Water doesn't boil until 212 degrees Fahrenheit. So from 32 to 212 degrees Fahrenheit, that's a lot of heat you gotta add. That heat could take weeks, that heat could take months, that heat could take years depending on what you're trying to do. The bigger fish you're trying to fry, the more heat it's gonna take. And sometimes you get to 100 degrees Fahrenheit and you're like, you know what? I know water doesn't boil till 212. I'm gonna keep applying heat. Even though this is kicking my ass, I don't even party now. I don't even go out on the weekends. I've cut my friend group down. I don't even talk to my family anymore. But I'm gonna keep persevering. And then some people get to 150 degrees Fahrenheit. They're almost there. They're almost there. They say, you know what? I've gotten to the point, I have no life outside of the gym. I live in the gym. I wake up at 4:30 a.m. every day. I make a fat protein shake. I go to the gym. I leave at 9 a.m. I come back. I make another shake. And then I rest. And then I'm watching videos of how I can get bigger. I'm constantly learning because they understand that they need to add more heat to get to that 212 degrees, to get to the boiling point, to get to the next level, to max out on their genetic capacity, to get to that 100%. Some people get to 200 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's when they're doing everything. They're going to the gym twice a day. They're waking up at 4:30, going once, and then they're going again at 4:30 p.m. They're making 4 shakes a day, huge shakes. They have no life. It's literally, they've had to work part-time now so they can apply more heat to get into the 100%. They look great. They're competing now, but they know that they're not at that 212 degrees. They still haven't hit that next level. They still haven't won that men's physique competition yet. They still haven't gotten to that point where they hit the scales and they know that they bulked and cut to the most that they could have cut. And that when they step on that stage, they're gonna blow the judges out the water. They know they're almost there, but they know they're not there yet. Some people get to 211 degrees Fahrenheit. They get so close, and then they say, I don't know if I can do this anymore. I have reached my breaking point. They've starved themselves. They've been on a diet for 4 years straight. They've been grinding. They've had the tunnel vision. They've been blocking out the negativity. They stopped watching the news. They think they've done everything they could have done. And still, they haven't boiled yet. They've put in a year of working at the gym at that highest level, and they only gained half a pound. They're ready to give up. A lot of people get to this point and throw in the towel. We see the best of us. We see the most stoic, the most bullheaded, stubborn, hard-headed entrepreneurs who are always unfazed. We see them give up. We see them throw in the towel at this point because they feel that it's not worth it. It's not worth the effort. It's not worth how much they think they're missing out on. It's not worth missing out on enjoying their youth or living life while it's young. Like, I'm gonna die anyway, so You know, how am I gonna look back without regrets, knowing that I spent all my time to this? And they give up. They give up at this point. And I say this example to say, to get to that higher level, you have to keep going. You can't stop. You got to put the foot on the brakes and you got to keep going. And all it will take is you could be doing the same method. You could be maxed out. There's literally nothing else you could do. But it's just a matter of time. Right? When you're heating up water, you don't keep increasing the temperature. You put that same temperature, you turn that stove up 300, 400, 500, and you leave it there. These are the people who are operating at the max, who are operating, waking up those early mornings, doing the research they can, networking with their business, adding those consultings to learn as much as they can, getting coaches to guide them. These are the people who are using promotion. They're building their audience. They're networking with other people with similar audiences with them to use their platform. These are people doing everything right. They're taking courses, they're taking classes, they're getting certifications. These are people doing everything right. And they're still not seeing results yet. And these are people doing everything right for months, sometimes years, and they're still not seeing results. And there's nothing more they can do. And these people give up. They throw in the towel. They ease up on the temperature. They ease up on the acceleration. And what do? They go back down to 211, 210, 209, 200. And they convince themselves that they're not good enough. They don't have what it takes. It's not meant for them. Success is an illusion. Save your time. Just go to school, get a good job, get a wife and children, and disappear into the masses. Become an average Joe. A lot of people give up. But I submit to you, even if you're doing everything right, even if you're on the verge of hitting your breaking point, just time is the only difference. You're not doing anything wrong. It's just the amount of time. You got to keep going. Make a commitment to yourself that you're not going to stop until you hit that 212 degrees and you boil, baby. And then it's all higher state from there. You are in a different level. It's going to be night and day. And then that's going to give you the boost you need to never doubt yourself again. Right? So that's the first part of that. And the second part I wanted to talk about is, you know, for the people who reach that next level, you are the few, the 1%, the 0.0001% that persevered and went to the next level, and then you're still not seeing growth. You say you've managed to hit 6 figures. You're in the $1 million club. That's great, but you're trying to get to the 8 digits. You're trying to get to 9 digits. There's other things holding you back, right? Maybe you had an accident in the family. Now there's pressure. The way pressure works is pressure and temperature are inversely proportional. That's Boyle's law. So sometimes they say more money, more problems. That is not completely true. However, as you get older, sometimes more time, more problems. Sometimes more eggs and more baskets that you get involved with, more bandwidth, and then that's more stress, and then the stress causes problems. Your body might break down. You're not getting enough sleep. You're not staying in shape. You're skipping meals. Fast food, you're not cooking, you're not taking care of the A's and B's. So over time, you know, your body kind of falls apart because of the pressure. And what does the pressure do? The pressure makes it so that, say you only needed 212 to go to the next level, because you got A, B, C, D, got the cards stacked against you, your boiling temperature might be 220, it might be 240, because that's what happens with pressure. But the thing is, life doesn't care. Life doesn't wait for you if you got more pressure. Life doesn't care if you got a hard life. That's 230 for you. You got to say, all right, I know what it took for my boy who didn't have as much pressure as me, and he had to work his ass off and almost die to hit that 212. I know that 230 is going to be harder than 212, but I'm willing to die to get to that 230, because that, to not do that will be to die. So I'd rather actually die and aim for that 230, even though it's going to be harder for me. That's the mentality that you have to have. And the second law I want to talk about is entropy. And the law of entropy states that things left to their devices tend to erode into disorder and decay. What does that mean? If you are, even if you're doing everything right, even if you're applying, a lot of people say, if the wheels, don't reinvent the wheel. A lot of people say, if it's broke, keep using it. I think I'm saying the saying wrong, but essentially, if it works, keep doing it, right? And that saying used to work in the past, but now with us going into a new technological age every like 3 years, not only do you have to apply the same pressure that you used to apply to get to the next level, you have to constantly not only apply more heat, not only apply more energy, you have to apply different energy. You have to work smarter, not harder. You have to make sure that you're not missing out on any new information. You got to make sure you're staying savvy. You got to make sure you're learning what the cool kids are doing. What's Google doing? How is Facebook ads changing the way they market to each other? What's the new algorithm? How is TikTok and Instagram, what are they pushing right now? How can I modify what I'm doing so that I can maximize my outreach to my audience? You need to be thinking about not just applying the work, not just buying the promotion, not just, writing the hooks and the letters and the offers. You also need to be looking into, how can I make a better offer? How has my audience evolved over time? What do they want now? How can I change things up? So that's the aspect of entropy, is that even if you do the same thing that brought you results in the past, in the future, it's literally a law that if you do the same thing, you will, over time, your business will still fail. So that's why you see people, they get comfortable. So they either keep their business at the level that brought them there, or they kind of ease up on the gas, slow down a little bit. Let's chill back a little bit. Let's, now that we built this, we can relax, And what happens? Their business still fails because entropy, things just erode over time. An example of that is, think about your room. You can clean your room and literally go to Spain, go on vacation, don't even use the room, have no guest over, nothing. What's gonna happen? You come back, it may not be junky, but your room will not be as clean as it was when you left it. Why? Dust settles. There's dust now on the table. There's dust on the counter. What else happens? Spiders see that nobody's home, so they build webs all over the fucking place, right? What else happens? You left some food in the fridge for a month. The food spoiled. Now the house stinks. So things just fall into disorder automatically. You don't have to do anything for things to fall apart. But what you have to do, you have to put in energy, a lot of energy, to make things get better. Or to even keep things at the same level, you have to actually put in more work. People think that, to keep things where they're at, I just got to keep doing what I've always done. That's false. To keep doing what you've always done, not only will you get the same results, you'll actually get worse results because of entropy. So the cards are actually stacked against you if you're trying to thinking that it's going to get easier. And it's not that it's going to get harder. It's all about the mentality you have. If you become obsessed with what you're doing, if you really love what you're doing, you actually don't want things to get boring. You actually don't want to not be involved in what you do, because the way the mind works is, if you don't use it, you lose it. I want my mind to be sharp. I want to have a mind that can critically think and is constantly coming up with new solutions. That gives me the dopamine boost. That makes me wake up in the morning, with something to be excited about, with something to be hyped about, right? So yes, the law of entropy and the law of energy, make sure you are capitalizing on these two fundamental laws of nature if you are somebody interested in being an entrepreneur, know that there's a lot of energy you have to put in, but you can get to the next level. But know that the most important thing is the consistency of the energy, right? You can boil water in your oven. You can turn the oven on to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and you can boil that same amount of water. You can boil that same amount of water, turn the oven at 212 degrees Fahrenheit, right? So sometimes people think that, I'm gonna go hard, I'm gonna go ham, I'm gonna put so much effort and so much energy, right? Because they want to rush to the finish line. What happens is they get burnt out, right? And the water almost boils, but then they put so much energy without planning things out, without analyzing, doing the inner work to see what they're capable of. Or they put a lot of effort into something that they weren't really ambitious about. Then they got to the point where they saw this is harder than I thought, and I don't really love this. And now they're back to the drawing board, or they just really quit, right? A lot of times, you can just be that 212 degree oven, slowly boiling the water. Yeah, you're putting in energy. Yeah, you're dedicated. But guess what? The water's still going to boil. Whether it's 212 degrees Fahrenheit or 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The only factor is time. But the most important thing is energy. As long as you are applying consistent energy, notice I didn't say you turn the oven on and off. Keeping the oven at the same temperature. Consistent energy every day towards a goal. That is the most important thing. And literally, it is physically impossible for the water not to boil. Just like if you apply consistent energy, consistent heat, pressure towards your goal over time, even if it's high energy, low energy, but just consistent energy, that's the most important thing. There is nothing else that can happen except you becoming successful and reaching your goals. And the last fact is, once you reach your goals, set more goals. Actually, throw goals out the window and just develop a system of being so that you are always operating at a level of habits to the point where you automatically produce results and you have become somebody who makes results on default, so that you're growing in ways that your success is compounding on itself because you've automated a lot of the processes where if you weren't consistent, if you didn't develop these systems and were just goal-based, the only motivation to do that would be the results or the reward. But because you've made habits out of the habits that get you the results, the rewards come automatically. So that way, even when you hit the goals, you never stop. Because the goal is not to reach a certain result. The goal is the habit. The goal is the systems that you've adapted into your being. And that is how you continuously grow, and just applying these laws of nature, energy, entropy, and using pressure as an understanding of, a way to either leverage against you or leverage for you, but knowing that either way, you still have control over how you're going to look at it, and there's nothing that can stop you from achieving your goals. But yeah, kind of long video. Hope this didn't go too much over people's heads, but I hope this helped. And if you love this video, make sure you like and subscribe. I got a new channel. And yeah, as always, stay hydrated, stay breathing in this good as oxygen, and most importantly, stay basic. I love you.